Hi everyone, my name is Mark Deere, and in this video I wanted to talk about my approach to making these videos so far. So it's funny, I heard a joke when I was beginning teaching, right? So if you haven't watched any of my other videos, I'm on long service leave from work at the moment. I just did 10 years of teaching, so I have a few months off from work. Before I taught for 10 years, for 11 years I worked in film. I made like 1,000 TV ads and corporate videos, and simultaneously was making narrative feature films. So I've made 5 narrative feature films, 3 that were finished, and it's 20 years this year since the first feature film I made. I finished it. So that was in 2005, and it's now 2025, so it's 20 years. So I'm making a documentary called Confessions of a Failed Filmmaker, where I share my process while I'm making films. And yeah, I thought, what kind of got me into making videos like this? I saw a few people on YouTube doing it, but obviously, having worked in film for 20 years, I could have made massive productions out of them. I could have shot tons of coverage. I could have, done lighting and heaps of editing and spent a month on every video. But I thought I need to do the antithesis of that. I need to just walk in, sit down, talk, reflect on an idea because I'm sharing my process, and then leave. So the thing I thought was funny is I can do a lot of these videos together if I want to, right? Like I've done a few today. And the interesting thing is there's a parallel with teaching to how I am doing this format. Oh, you won't be able to see it. There's a bird right near me on a branch. The parallel is this. When I was in my teacher training, this is what I started talking about before. When I was in my teacher training, one day I said to a dude, I had like a supervisor, like a mentor. Well, he wasn't my mentor. I was just in a school for a day. And I said to him, how'd you plan for this? Like, what do you do for your planning? He said, what I did for my planning, I'll just show you this while I'm here. He's like, here's my planning method. It's the 3-step method. I was like, okay, I haven't heard of the 3-step method. What's that? He's like, it's like this. 1, 2, 3, there's the door. Okay, class, today we're learning this. AKA, 3 steps to the door. He's literally coming up with his lesson on the spot, right? And it was a number of years before I could do this, but in teaching I would often do this. Like when you have content knowledge, and I mean, working in film for 20 years, like as a film teacher, I can kind of just, ask me a question and I can riff on that. Like I could be doing hour-long videos every single video if I was talking about film-related topics, as opposed to life and creativity, which is what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's funny, this video just now, I was like, because I have a list that I keep in my phone. Ideas come to you constantly, like the more you do, I talked about this in action, like the more you do something, the more space in your brain it gets, so you just have ideas, and I'm just constantly having ideas for what I can talk about for videos, for sharing my process. To me, it means a lot more though to do day to day what I'm thinking as I am on my leave and working on this transitional period and working on the documentary, reflecting on 20 years. It's hard, reflecting on 20 years, it kind of sounds like you feel immortality, right? Because I'm 43 years old, so I was 22 when I directed my first feature film, 23 when we premiered it. And so it's interesting how with these videos, my approach, that's what I want to talk about in this, my approach to these videos is very similar to the 3-step rule of teaching. And that is 1, 2, 3, hit record, walk out here and make the video. It's like, I should do a video about this, or maybe I already did, talking about overnight successes. No, I did, I've already done a video talking about overnight successes, where it's like, it's 3 steps plus 20 years. For me, 10 years as a teacher. Like it's 3 steps plus 10 years. When I'm talking about film stuff, it's 3 steps plus 20 years. So can you emulate this approach? Well, you could, because you have experience. So 1, 2, 3, talk about your experience. You don't need to think beyond that. Like you know what you know, right? So just talk about what you already know. And as a teacher, I've passed this advice, that anecdote about the guy teaching me about the 3-step rule, because I don't think it's a real thing. He was just joking that day. But that joke stuck with me. I could write a whole book about the 3-step rule of teaching, because there's a lot to unpack. It's not just 3 steps. It's the fact that he knew his subject so well that he could plan instantly. He's not just going, okay, everyone colouring in today, like he's teaching a lesson. I went and watched him teach the lesson. And it's the same thing for me. Like I could, give me the topic within my area of expertise and I could talk about it all day long. It's funny in these videos, and this could be a whole other video. In these videos, I think because my motivation doing these videos is to share my process, I'm probably not conveying the level of expertise I have with a lot of things because I'm spending a lot more time exploring the ideas around things that I'm not an expert at, that I'm not experienced with, like the things I'm struggling with, right? And I don't know if that's interesting to watch or if it's just sad and it'll restrict me from getting people watching these videos. Because this is not your average, like, hey guys, today we're doing this, blah, 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 and it's done. Like I'm trying to authentically share the way I'm thinking with you, right? Like I just, from here, I just go home, edit the video, then keep living my life. It's not like I'm putting on a facade to do this. I'm just, to me, putting myself out there for the first time is challenging, and it's an invigorating and interesting challenge. And it's been a great experience in the month and a half I've been doing it. So, like I said, I'm going to do 100 videos in 100 days. And I don't know if this format, I've said it a few times, I don't know if I'll stick with this format. But I like about this format that it's an absolute guaranteed recipe for authenticity. Because when you're not writing a script in advance, planning in advance, like it's pretty much in that moment what you think. Like I've got to be in the moment, because otherwise, what am I off with the fairies while trying to engage with you? You can't do it. You've got to be in the moment. And so, there have been days where there was one video. So far, I've made only one video where I shot the whole video, and I got home and I watched it, and I was like, I don't agree with anything I just said. Like, and obviously that day, I must have just been having a hard day, or I was confused, or I don't know what it was. But that video just was like, no, this is not what I think about that. It was about, what was that video about? Sorry, you'll have to give me a minute while I think about what it was about, because it was a long time ago. It was about the, I don't know, 11th or 12th video I made, and I just cut it, it was about being a starving artist, and how in society, people like put starving artists on a pedestal, and the idea of being a starving or suffering artist is like, people see it like, oh, they're suffering, it's great, but how that's not good, And so I was trying to articulate my thoughts around it, but I think my brain just wasn't functioning that day, and it was just, what I was saying just wasn't right. Like when I watched it back, I was like, I just don't, this isn't right, And so, I could have shared it in the spirit of sharing my process to show sometimes you have a bad day, And you do. Sometimes you have a bad day. Sometimes you can't think. And even in some of my videos, there's been things that I'm like, oh, that's not quite right. That's not quite right when I'm doing it. But I'm like, well, I can correct it later. Like, judge me on the one video if you want. That's fine. But again, like there's 100 videos. Like, it's a larger body of work, and 100 videos go together in sequence. That's why I'm constantly referring to videos I already made. So yeah, so my approach to these videos so far has been in the spirit of sharing my process while working on this documentary and figuring out my life, while reflecting on 20 years as a creative person, or 20 years prioritizing creativity in my life, probably 20 years to go before retirement. Here's a line in the sand. I just got some leave. What am I doing? What am I gonna do? I don't know. And I'm sharing that process. So by making a documentary talking about filmmaking, the lessons that come from it, because I still haven't broken the story of the documentary. It's just, so far it's, I made this feature, I made this feature, I made this feature, I worked hard, but soon enough, and maybe it'll come out sad. The documentary is called Confessions of a Failed Filmmaker. Like, it's me grappling with the idea that, did I waste 20 years of my life identifying as a filmmaker but never having any success, any real success? Like, our third feature film got distribution, but we've made about $100 from it maybe, I don't know. It's not like we got rich from filmmaking, So was it a waste of time? I don't know. And maybe in the documentary, I'll come across really sad. And like I say, in these 100 videos, maybe I come across scatterbrained and like not knowing what I'm doing or talking about, because I'm exploring new ideas. I don't want to rehash. That's the thing, I was a teacher for 10 years, right? And before that, I lectured at uni. I was a sessional demonstrator at Griffith University, and I did some stuff at RMIT as well with my mate Harrow. And so I have expertise, in film stuff. But why would I just get on here and talk about what I'm an expert about when I could, like, to me, it's more exciting about building a community of people going through the same things I'm going through, so I can have some solidarity, right? Like, I want to meet other creatives who are struggling, yeah? Because that's how you grow, and I want to grow. Anyway, I don't know how many of these videos of mine you've watched. This might be the only one you've seen. Maybe you've seen all the, I don't know how many I've made up to this point. 40 maybe? I don't know. I don't know what number I'm up to. 30 something. 40 something. I don't know. Anyway, I should know, but I've just made a bunch today and I'm not doing the maths. But yeah, should you try this format? It's funny because I'm parasocially friends with Johnny Mozzer, Josh Morrison, and he has a channel called Johnny Mozzer on YouTube. You can go check it out. And he talks about this format all the time, how you can do it. And it's like, there's a couple of other YouTubers who do a similar format, but it's just funny how he's constantly saying, you can do it, just go do it. And I'd love to know his thoughts on the whole 1, 2, 3 teaching approach, like how much planning goes into. I'm sure he probably keeps a list of video ideas as well. And I'm sure, like me, he's just speaking from experience when he speaks, He'll often be probably more controversial than me, but I think that's because he'll talk about what he has a firm stance on. He's only 26, I'm 43. And rather than having a firm stance on really anything. I'm kind of open to new ideas. If someone else can convince me of something, and I'm not saying that as a fence sitter. I'm not saying that as someone who doesn't want to have a point of view, because I'm very, there are things I, am very clear on my opinion about or whatever. But a lot of this stuff I'm unsure about, so it's interesting. It's different, But yeah, anyway, what do you think of the format? Does it work? Do you wish I edited my videos down? They were all 2 minutes of precisely edited, expertly scripted, just teach a lesson. I don't think that's what I was ever going for with them. And maybe after these 100, I can start, be reborn on YouTube and do 3-minute polished videos where I teach you how to edit a film, or I teach you how to write a script. But to be honest, I'm just more excited about building a community of like-minded people in the comments, which I don't know, but that's what a lot of people seem to be doing. And I'm just excited about having my own community, Anyway, that's where I'm at. And that's me reflecting on the format I use for these videos. So if you enjoyed it, I'd love for you to give me a thumbs up. Give me a comment. I'm much more interested in your comments than your thumbs up. Like I said, we've got 50-something videos to go, so definitely I'm going to be doing them until the 31st of January 2025, so come along for the journey, hit subscribe. But otherwise, yeah, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.